Ladies and gentlemen, hear me clearly. Life is not neutral. Every day you wake up, you step into a battlefield you cannot always see. There are forces working for your good, and there are forces working against your purpose. And the greatest mistake you can ever make is to walk into that day unprotected. Protection is not automatic. Protection is activated. You don't stumble into divine covering. You speak it, you declare it, you believe it. Too many people wake up and check their phones before they check their spirit. You scroll through problems before you establish your authority. And then you wonder why anxiety meets you before peace does. Protection is not something you casually drift into. It is something you consciously step into. Every single day, whether you recognize it or not, you are entering a spiritual battlefield. Life is not just physical, it is deeply spiritual. And there are influences, pressures, and unseen challenges constantly surrounding you. Many people assume that because they believe in God, protection will automatically cover them without any intentional action on their part. But protection is not passive, it is activated. It requires awareness, faith, and most importantly, deliberate declaration. You don't walk into safety by chance, and you certainly don't stumble into divine covering without aligning yourself with it first. When you wake up each morning, you are not just beginning another routine day. You are stepping into a space where decisions will be made, opportunities will arise, and challenges may appear unexpectedly. If you walk into that day without grounding yourself spiritually, you are essentially moving without armor. This is why intentional prayer is not optional, it is essential. Prayer is your moment of alignment, where you acknowledge God as your source, your shield, and your guide. It is where you establish authority over your day before anything else attempts to influence it. Bold declaration is equally important because your words carry power. What you speak is what you permit, and what you declare is what you authorize in your life. When you intentionally speak God's protection over your mind, your body, your family, and your purpose, you are not merely repeating words. You are setting spiritual boundaries. You are making it clear that fear, confusion, harm, and negativity do not have access to you. This kind of declaration shifts your mindset from being reactive to being proactive. Instead of waiting to see what goes wrong, you are establishing what must go right. There is also a confidence that comes from knowing you have activated divine protection. It changes how you approach situations, how you respond to uncertainty, and how you carry yourself throughout the day. You begin to move with a sense of calm authority, not because you control everything, but because you trust the one who does. Protection, when declared daily, becomes a covering that strengthens your faith and sharpens your awareness. So do not assume you are protected, declare it. Do not leave your day to chance, speak over it. Because when you intentionally activate God's protection through prayer and bold declaration, you are not just hoping for a good day, you are establishing one. Your words are not empty sounds. They are seeds that shape the direction of your life. The moment you wake up in the morning, you are standing at the starting line of a new day, and what you choose to say, whether consciously or unconsciously, begins to set everything in motion. Many people underestimate this moment. They allow their first thoughts to be complaints, worries, or reminders of yesterday's problems. Without realizing it, they are already programming their day for stress, fear, and limitation. But what you speak in the morning is powerful because it establishes your focus, your attitude, and your expectations before anything else has a chance to influence you. When you intentionally speak over your life, you are taking control of your environment from the inside out. You are deciding that your day will not be dictated by circumstances, emotions, or external pressures. Instead, you are declaring peace over your mind, clarity over your decisions, strength over your challenges, and purpose over your actions. This is not about denying reality. It is about defining it. Your words act as instructions that guide your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your behavior. In other words, your declaration becomes the blueprint for your experience. If you fail to do this, something else will take its place. Silence is never neutral. If you don't speak over your life, circumstances will speak for you. The unexpected delay, the negative news, the difficult conversation, or even your own doubts will begin to define your mindset. Before you know it, you are reacting instead of leading, surviving instead of thriving. This is how many people lose control of their day. They never claimed it in the first place. They allowed external factors to write a script they were meant to author themselves. Speaking intentionally each morning is a form of alignment. It centers you. It reminds you of who you are, whose you are, and what you are capable of. When you declare positive, faith-filled words, you are not just making noise. You are reinforcing belief. You are strengthening your confidence and preparing your spirit to handle whatever comes your way. There is a noticeable difference in how you carry yourself when your day begins with purpose rather than pressure. Over time, this habit transforms your life. You become less shaken by challenges and more focused on solutions. You begin to expect good outcomes instead of bracing for the worst. Your words create a rhythm of consistency, and that consistency builds resilience and clarity. So don't leave your mornings unguarded. Speak life, speak direction, and speak truth over yourself. Because when you take control of your words at the start of the day, you take control of the day itself. Prayer has often been misunderstood as a desperate act of pleading, as if it is something people turn to only when they have run out of options. But that perspective strips prayer of its true nature and power. Prayer is not weakness, it is authority. It is not about begging God to do something He is reluctant to do. It is about aligning yourself with what He has already established and promised. When you pray, you are stepping into a position of confidence, not desperation. You are recognizing that you have access to a higher power and choosing to operate from that place of connection and trust. True prayer begins with understanding your position. You are not speaking from a place of fear, but from a place of relationship. That relationship gives you the right to speak, to declare, and to expect alignment with God's will. When you approach prayer with this mindset, everything changes. Your tone changes, your expectation changes, and your faith becomes more active. Instead of repeating empty words, you begin to speak with intention and clarity, knowing that what you are declaring carries weight in both the spiritual and physical realms. When you align with God's promises, you are essentially agreeing with what has already been spoken over your life. Those promises include protection, guidance, provision, and purpose. Prayer becomes the moment where you activate those promises in your daily experience. You are not creating something new. You are enforcing what already exists. This is why prayer is powerful. It brings what is unseen into your reality. It sets things in motion that you may not immediately see but will eventually experience. Enforcing divine protection through prayer is one of the most practical expressions of this authority. When you declare protection over your life, your mind, your family, and your purpose, you are establishing spiritual boundaries. You are saying that negativity, harm, confusion, and fear do not have permission to take root. This is not about ignoring challenges, but about confronting them from a position of strength. You are not reacting to problems after they appear. You are addressing them before they even have the chance to manifest. This understanding also builds confidence. When you know that prayer is an act of authority, you stop approaching life timidly. You begin to walk with a sense of assurance, knowing that you are covered and supported. Your mindset shifts from uncertainty to expectation. You start to see prayer not as a last resort, but as your first response in every situation. Over time, this changes how you live. You become more intentional, more focused, and more grounded in your faith. You no longer feel powerless in the face of challenges, because you know you have the ability to speak, declare, and align with divine truth. Prayer becomes a daily exercise of authority, reinforcing your identity and strengthening your connection with God. And when you truly grasp this, you will never approach prayer the same way again. There is a direct connection between feeling protected and living boldly. When a person is uncertain about their safety, their instinct is to shrink, to hesitate, and to avoid risk. Fear begins to dictate decisions, and life becomes more about survival than purpose. But when you truly know, deep within, that you are covered, something shifts. Fear starts to lose its grip, not because challenges disappear, but because your perspective changes. You are no longer focused on what could go wrong. You are anchored in the assurance that you are not facing life alone. This sense of covering creates a foundation for confidence. Confidence is not arrogance, and it is not pretending that everything is perfect. It is a quiet, steady belief that you are guided, protected, and sustained. When that belief becomes real to you, it begins to influence how you think, speak, and act. You stop second-guessing every step. You stop allowing doubt to paralyze your decisions. Instead, you begin to move forward with clarity, even when the full picture is not visible. That clarity does not come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting the one who does. Courage naturally follows. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. And that decision becomes easier when you know you are protected. You begin to take steps you once avoided. You speak up when you would have stayed silent. You pursue opportunities that once intimidated you. This is how purpose begins to unfold in a tangible way. Many people have potential, but they never fully step into it because fear holds them back. Protection, when understood and embraced, removes that limitation. Living boldly also means living intentionally. You become more aware of your calling and more committed to fulfilling it. You no longer waste energy trying to control everything around you because you trust that your life is being guided. This allows you to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your impact, and your contribution. You begin to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to grow stronger and more refined. Even in difficult moments, there is a sense of stability that keeps you grounded. Over time, this way of living transforms your entire outlook. You develop resilience because you are not easily shaken. You develop focus because you are not constantly distracted by fear. And most importantly, you develop a deeper sense of purpose because you are actively walking in it. Bold living is not reckless. It is rooted in trust and strengthened by assurance. When you know you are covered, you stop holding back. You stop playing small. You begin to live with intention, confidence, and courage. And in doing so, you step fully into the life you were created to live, not as someone trying to survive the day, but as someone prepared to make an impact. So now the question is no longer whether protection, prayer, or boldness matters. The question is whether you will take action. Every truth you've heard means nothing if it is not applied. A protected life does not happen by accident. It is the result of daily intention, daily declaration, and daily alignment. You cannot afford to leave your life to chance, hoping things will work out. You must rise each day with purpose, speak over your life with authority, and walk forward with confidence, knowing you are covered. Starting today, make a decision. Before you check your phone, before you step into your routine, pause and declare God's protection over your life. Speak it with conviction. Believe it without doubt. Let it shape your mindset and guide your actions. Do this consistently, not occasionally, because when you commit to this daily practice, you won't just face life. You will take charge of it.